As the final strains of Old Man River echoed through the theater and the curtain went down on the cherry blossom in the chorus, the history of musical theater was changed forever. As the theater major with its specialization in musical theater, Showboat was the performance that changed my future in theater. Showboat incorporated musical theater elements into the modern-day musical structure that we know today. It also showed many racial controversy issues with audiences that had never been done before, and it was also a booming success. All of these things had never occurred before with a musical, and it changed. Showboat was the musical that changed the history of these musicals being known as musical comedies into the actual structure of a musical play. And let me share with you some of the importance of these musical theater elements. Showboat was the first all-American story that featured all of these musical theater elements that we see in typical musicals today as we know them. It featured a huge cast that performed comic songs and dances like Old Man River, very, very famous songs. It also featured breathtaking designs and lots of overwhelming spectacle, which the producer, Ziegfeld, was very well known for. And it was put into this format that was so different than people had seen before, but it was still what they expected, and that's another reason it was such a huge success. Showboat also featured this soaring music that followed the journey of the main characters and also secondary characters who had never really been important before. There were main characters and there were chorus, and that's about it. So all of these different elements really combined to make this spectacle a whole lot different than anything that had ever been seen before. Now, not only were the characters important, the main, the secondary, all these new characters that were being shown, but they were also represented and played by a serious interracial cast. The Showboat shared many racial controversy issues with audiences. It was the first musical in which white and black actors and actresses held the stage together as equals. They didn't have to play, the blacks didn't have to be featured people that were brought in. They were all integrated as part of this single show. Showboat was also the first musical to seriously depict an interracial marriage. It had been done before, but all in comedic ways. The marriage in this play was very serious, and it was just the same as if you'd see any other two characters getting married in any other show at the time. Showboat was mainly controversial because of the language that it used and the slang terms that were used for the certain individuals in the play. And it was also controversial because of the portrayal of blacks as passive laborers and servants, which was something that was very debatable at the time. There was a white chorus and there was a black chorus of females, and they were separate, but they really performed together to echo each other and repeat this important message of this play. And the Showboat was a huge success despite all the controversy. It was a booming success thanks to Ziegfeld, Jerome Kern, Oscar Hammerstein III, and Sammy Lee, who were the director, choreographer, lyricist, composer, and of course the author, Edna Ferber, who was the author of the novel that the play Showboat was based on. Showboat ran for 572 shows, which at the time there were plays that were performed more, but this as a musical, that it was huge at the time. There are 12 selected recordings as of today of Showboat, which is an incredible feat. And Showboat was revived as early as 3 years after the original production. Usually revivals don't come around until, 5, 10, 15, 20 years after the original performances, even with very popular musicals. So that was a very big deal, especially at the time, especially it being the first musical like this. It's been revised at least 6 times on stage, and it's been revised 3 times in film, plus other documentaries and other things like that. And it was also talked a lot about a lot on the radio. Showboat really was an incredible musical that changed the history of musical theater forever. It used the elements of musical theater. It opened up the world of interracial characters on stage and throughout the storyline, and it was the most popular performance of a musical thus far, especially, like I said, it being the first one. Showboat changed not only the world of theater at the time, but it made the musical theater world open up into the marvelous, extravagant world as we know it today.